Welcome to TLDR. Today, I want to talk about the importance of multisensory experience for improving memory. And the reason I want to talk about this in the context of writing is partly because as writers, we have to engage all of the senses and not just the visual experience of the words on the page, but the experience that you get when you read those words. Um, you want to stimulate the imagination of the people who are reading whatever it is that you're writing. You want them to be able to imagine that they're actually physically touching the objects that your characters are touching, that they can interact in the space, that there's a three-dimensionality, there's texture, there's sound, there's smell. But also you want to use your language in such a way that someone could read it out loud and have there be a musicality to it so that there's cadence for someone who's listening, and it has rhythm, and it has emphasis, and it has a melody. And you also want it to be something, that you could act out. And having all of these pieces in there makes it easier to draw your reader in so that they're not reading words on a page, they're experiencing your story in their imagination in three dimensions. Um, you want you want there to be a sense of movement, a sense of action, a sense of presence that engages all of our senses. And then when you do that, you end up creating a story that's memorable, that people are going to talk about, because you have an emotional connection, you have visuals, you have sounds, you have, you can create humor using an incongruence between a sound and an action, right? If you're expecting an action to be sharp, but somehow the language describing that action is blobby, then it's funny. Or if you're using an onomatopoeia and you're having words that, like, splat, for example. If a bug goes splat against a windshield, you know exactly what that means. You know what sound splat makes. You know what a splat looks like. You know how squishy it is. Um, you have you have the ability to use your words to evoke all of these sensations through all of our senses, and that stimulates the brain patterns of your reader in a greater diversity of neural pattern. And when you have that higher diversity of neural pattern, you're going to remember better. So, one of the techniques for memory, one of the techniques for learning a new language to remember all of the words and all the patterns, is to transform the word and how it's written on the page into a multisensory experience where you're reading it, you're saying it out loud, you're acting it out. Um, and that integrates all of your all of your different forms of intelligence. So there are 9 different types of intelligence, and we each have some of all of them. And when we use all of our different forms of intelligence, when we are trying to learn the same information using all of our different forms of intelligence, we remember it better. And you want to remember this when you are writing, because you want people to remember what you have to say. You want people to remember that you are good at explaining stuff to them. So it's important to include multisensory experience. That is my tip of the week. I thought to remember this, and I was trying to get a student of mine who has a presentation. I was helping her fix the grammar and stuff, but I was also trying to get her to start acting it out so that it would be exciting and fun and engaging. And she didn't want to. She wanted to be all rigid and blah 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 blah. but that's boring. So you want to be exciting and interesting and engaging. And you want to do that through the written word as well as when you are speaking and reading out loud and teaching your kids to read. You want it to be fun. You always want it to be fun, even if you're talking about something that's serious and dark, because you want people to learn and you want to inspire people to go out and make a difference. And so when you're talking about something that's dark and that's difficult, you still want that multisensory experience because you want to push those pain points hard enough that people want to do something about it. You don't want to just make them feel miserable and leave them hanging. You want them to feel empathy with your characters who are undergoing horrible experiences, and you want your readers to be rooting for those characters to overcome those obstacles. You want your readers to be motivated to go and help other people who might be in similar situations. And that ability to take those multisensory experiences and write about them in a way that evokes all of your senses, all of your emotions, all of your different types of intelligence, that it it helps to it helps to get your reader to empathize with your characters because of something called mirroring, which is when the neurological patterns of a person who experiences something, when that person tells someone else the story of that experience, the person listening to that story or reading that story, their brain actually mimics the same patterns that the person who originally experienced the story had. So when you're integrating all of these multisensory experiences into your writing, you are actually enabling your reader to empathize better and to learn how to empathize better because of this neurological process that happens when you read a story. It's like magic. It's awesome. um, it's awesome, but only use it for good. I mean, you can write about bad things, but don't write about bad things encouraging people to go do bad things. Write about bad things to encourage people to go do good things. Okay. I will be back next week.